Welcome to tonight's live stream about Cabrini. We have a special guest here tonight, producer of Cabrini, Leo Severino. Leo, welcome. Good to
Neil.
see you.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you for having me. Thank you for all your good work.
Where are you in the world right now?
I'm in Los Angeles, California, right in the belly of the beast.
Oh, so I missed you. I missed
You
you.
did. You were here yesterday, and I was
Yeah.
flying back from New York. Yeah.
Okay, so last night I was at the USC campus, the film school. We were in shoot, who made Star Wars?
Lucas. Yes,
George
Lucas.
Lucas, the George
Yes.
Lucas building
School
and
of Cinema.
theater. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
very cool cinema, and apparently Hollywood Reporter calls USC the #1 film school in the world. So,
Well, I went to USC, so I will concur.
did you
I
really?
was
Did
sad
you
to
go
miss.
for film?
No, I went for philosophy and then law, so I was there twice.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I knew you were a lawyer, but I thought maybe you'd gone to the film school as well. It was a beautiful school, and it was really inspiring. Actually, the auditorium was filled, and there were people standing, and there was an organization that gave a summary of a study on faith in media. And the big takeaway is that 73% of people in the world consider themselves to be spiritual and faith people, like on a deep level. It's like over 80% that associate with the faith, but people actually see themselves as like that. That's one of their identities. And in
Sure.
this study, this is the area where in the media people are least represented, and it was just so inspiring to be there at the #1 film school in the world, to see Cabrini screen, see people's reactions, and I wish you could have been there. I didn't know you
I'm
were in
sorry.
LA.
I'm sorry I missed it. Yeah, we were screening the film in New York, and I got back last night. But it's not surprising to hear not only that statistic, but that it's underrepresented. I felt that when I was at 20th Century Fox. I kept thinking, if there's a profit motive and that's what we're driving for, just on that alone, why wouldn't you want to expand the audience? Why wouldn't you want to have films that you can bring the family to, so that you're getting the parents, but you're also getting the kids? Kids are going to go by themselves. Why not things that are going to be inclusive and attract a broader audience? So it seemed something that made me scratch my head at the time. So I'm glad that people are starting to kind of wake up to this massive audience that exists.
Yeah, I didn't have time because I just barely got in from my flight. I didn't have time to give the team the actual Harris X data, but we can post that later on our blog, or otherwise I'm sure we will. I'll share it with you, Leo, but it's super fascinating, and it confirms your gut that this is something that people want and need. So tonight, Leo, what we're going to cover is, well, first off, I met Leo for the first time at Illuminate last year, met his children. Their entire family are just delightful, and Leo is so passionate about the productions that he leads. And Leo was executive producer on Sound of Freedom, so we're just really excited to get your insights tonight, Leo. And but before we jump into it, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. So the first one is if you haven't gotten your tickets to Cabrini yet, right now, if you buy early, you save big. So what's today's discount? They brought it up here. So my vision isn't good enough to see what the discount is. I think, 27% off. 27% off. So for the next few hours, it's 27% off. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, please get them. It's important to get them because as those seats fill up, I noticed when I was in California, I was checking theaters, and there were some theaters that were full, and then new showtimes had opened up in those same locations for like a half hour, an hour later, which enables a whole new group of people to attend, and that will change the trajectory of this movie. So if you're on this live stream, please take advantage of the early bird discount and get your tickets right now. Now, you don't have to worry about buying your tickets if you wanted to change something, because we have this brand new feature, the first time in the industry, where you can, at any time up to an hour before showtime, you can change your seats, your showtime, and the location. So, like, if I got my tickets for Vineyard over in Orem, and I decided, shoot, I'm going to be in Salt Lake that day, and I want to go to the theater there, I can just switch it. Or if I find out I'm in Dallas or I'm in Philadelphia, I can switch my ticket to Philadelphia. So, get your tickets now. Let the theaters know that you want this, and know that you can change it at any time up to an hour before showtime.
That's amazing technology, Neil. And I've been a fan of your guys and your technology since the VidAngel days. So bravo for your good work there, man. So that's awesome.
Yes, thank you. And if you buy tonight, we're going to actually enter you into a. We're giving away God's Children Are Not for Sale T-shirt and a Cabrini Hope T-shirt to one person who purchases tickets tonight. So stay tuned for that.
Well, I'm gonna have to purchase tickets just to see if I can get those.
You've got to be
Oh,
18-year-old or older, or 18 years old or older to participate, and the rules are in the description. Leo, I think you qualify. It's
but just
close.
barely, just barely.
So, Leo, you helped produce one of the most, you executive produced one of the most impactful films of 2023, Sound of Freedom. What was that experience like, and do you hope for a repeat of Cabrini?
Well, listen, all credit really to Alejandro and Eduardo and Jaime and others who really shouldered the responsibility of that film. But I remember when I first heard of the story, we were in a small cafe in Pasadena with Tim Ballard, and he was telling us the reality of trafficking, and I couldn't believe it. It was so mind-boggling, and it was so otherworldly almost. It seemed so unbelievable that it was as rampant as it was. And I'll never forget, he opened up his computer. He had a laptop with him, and he showed some sort of live tracking website that had a map of where we were sitting. And I'll never forget, it was in Pasadena, California, and it was something like a 1.5 square mile radius. And in that area, there was 70 convicted pedophiles in that area. And that was convicted. That wasn't people who were charged or will never get caught or who were distributing or using. And it was just so mind blowing. And at that moment, I thought we had to do something. And Alejandro was way ahead of the game. He had already our director Alejandro, who did Sound of Freedom and Cabrini, and before that, Bella and Little Boy. But he had already been writing providentially a film about that topic. So it kind of like lined up perfectly. When he heard the true story, it even surpassed what he was imagining the film to be. But I had a similar experience with Cabrini. When I first heard about the story, it was from Eustace Wolfington, our executive producer, and he was telling me, we need to make this story, and how she impacted millions of people, but no one knows her name. And so I had the similar thing. Well, something's got to be done. This woman has inspired so many and has touched so many lives. What can we do? And the only thing that we know how to do is make movies. So like, let's do that, right? We believe Sound of Freedom was a limitation because of the subject matter. In other words, there was so many kind of restrictions that Alejandro and team had to kind of put on themselves to get the point across, but get it across in a tactful and yet impactful way, right? In Cabrini, I think Alejandro and the cinematographer Gorka, they really were able to stretch their wings artistically. So I'm so excited about this film.
The experience of watching Sound of Freedom, many on this live stream experience that, and if they're like me, it was a wake-up call. It was also a beautiful film, one that allowed me to digest the heaviness of what's going on, the plague of what's going on. As you described, 70 convicted pedophiles in a 1.5 mile radius, but be able to digest that, and in a way that I felt hope, felt like I could deal with it, and that there was something I could do. What will people who watch Sound of Freedom, what will they experience watching Cabrini? What do you think they'll take from it? Yeah.
Well, before then, first of all, Neil, you have done something. You and Angel Studios believed in that film when no one else did. And you brought it out to the world, and we're so grateful because you shined a light on the most horrific darkness probably that exists out there. And because of that, not only has the awareness risen through the roof, there's been legislation that has passed in states and in governments, even internationally, and just the movements that have sprouted to try to end the scourge of child trafficking, is in at least one small way attributable to the success of Sound of Freedom. So God bless you for actually doing that.
Credit
When
goes
it
to
comes
God. We
Amen. Amen.
we did our
Absolutely.
best, and God, He multiplied everything that we did as a team together.
As he tends to do. Well, when it comes to Cabrini, trafficking doesn't exist in a vacuum. When Rod Barr, the writer of Sound of Freedom, was deep into the research when we were developing the film, there seemed to be a connection between the poorest of the poor, between people that were seen as not having dignity, and having that be a susceptibility, a gateway to trafficking. And so I think it's really an extension of poverty, but not just physical poverty, spiritual poverty as well. And so in Cabrini, that's kind of what she tackled. She tackled those who felt like they had no dignity, those that were the poorest of the poor, and those that kind of lived in a spiritual poverty. So I think it's a natural extension from Sound of Freedom. It's kind of like an origin story of someone that was thinking the way Tim Ballard was in Sound of Freedom, but 100 years before.
And I'll tell you what, Leo, my children that were old enough to watch Sound of Freedom were grateful that they watched it. I would say that the difference for my 18-year-old daughter is after she watched Cabrini, she said, "This is my favorite movie of all time." Mm-hmm. And she was so inspired by Cabrini's example and what kind of hope that gave to her that she could have an impact in the world. It was just one of those moments, just seeing the light in her eyes and how excited she was after watching. And like in our home over and over and over again over the last 6 months, because we screened the Cabrini early on, clear back when we were launching Sound of Freedom.
That's right.
People will just randomly bring up Cabrini, and then everyone will say, "Oh, I love Cabrini. I love that film." And so it's one of those stories that sticks with you, and it sticks with you on a visual level, on a spiritual level, and then also if Cabrini, she couldn't sleep because she was thinking about these orphans and these immigrants and the poor. She couldn't sleep because she was thinking about them constantly, and that's what this story tends to do.
Yeah.
It lights a fire in people's hearts.
Yeah, you'll be able to sleep after seeing this film. I promise you. It's not going to keep you up at night. Right?
It's not going to give you nightmares.
No, hopefully it's going to inspire and uplift. In a very.
I agree. I concur. It's not going to stop you from sleeping, but it will. You'll be thinking about it for long after you watch this film. So I just explained how I was at a test screening. In fact, on Monday I was at another test screening with the Consul General of Italy, cool. And who loved Cabrini and introduced the film. You've been to way more screenings. You've been screening this film for years, and tell us about that process of screening Cabrini. Anything about reactions or anything that stands out to you on this trail of getting this film to as many influencers and people as possible?
It's been unbelievable. I mean, we've done a few films, Bella, Little Boy, Sound of Freedom, and I have to say, without any casting any aspersion on any of the previous films, hopefully it's a natural extension of us growing as filmmakers. But I've never seen reactions like this to any of our previous films. I mean, I don't know if you saw the Glenn Beck interview when he compared it to the first time someone maybe was watching The Godfather, and now it's one of his top.
I was sitting next to him. I was sitting next to him when he leaned over to me and made that comment. He said, "I felt like I was watching The Godfather for the first time."
Right, which is crazy, right? That's considered one of the greatest films in history, and humbly, those are the reactions we're getting. People listed it as one of their top most favorite films of all times, and I think it's due to the fact that the art in the film is at such a high level, thanks to the vision of our director Alejandro Monteverde and of our cinematographer as well, Gorka Andrew. and all the team, right? The costumes and the acting and the production design. Carlos Laguna is our production designer. They're just at the top of their craft. And art has a way to form the mind, but also to speak to the human heart and to pierce through whatever's happening in your lives. If you stand before a beautiful piece of art, there's something that just transcends. And I think that's what people are responding to in this film, is that there's a beauty to it, in form as well as content, as well as what Cabrini represented in her life, which hopefully we get to talk to a little bit here about that.
Absolutely. And thank you, Karen, for purchasing 12 tickets. That's incredible. Also, I'm sure after hearing from Leo, some of you are itching to ask questions. So you can put questions down in the comments at any time. Hopefully we'll be able to get to a few of those questions for Leo as we progress through the show. So now let's talk about your role in this film. Like, when I got into the film business, I grew up working on farms, and I didn't understand, like, I'd heard the term director before, but now I've heard like grip and producer and executive producer, and all these terms are just, they're so foreign to those of us who love movies but don't understand how they're made. Tell us about your role, what you did, and maybe a favorite story from the production.
Sure. Well, most people have no idea what a producer does because it's kind of all over the place. You get people who get the credit of producer just for kind of knowing someone who knows someone, that sort of thing in Hollywood. But technically speaking, when you go to like the Producers Guild list of what a producer does, the idea is that he's the person, or a couple people, in this case it's myself and Jonathan Sanger, who from beginning to end shepherd the entire process. So Eustace had the idea of making this film. He called me about it, and quite frankly, when he first called me about it, he said, I want to make a film about Mother Cabrini. I said, Mother who? And when he explained to me that he was this woman who lived in the 1900s, and she was a nun, and I was like, wow, okay, that's a very, very difficult film to make because it's expensive. It's period piece. If you put the camera here right now, everything is of the present time. Whereas if you put the camera anywhere and you're trying to replicate the 1900s, you're going to have to build, construct, change everything. Telephone poles or vehicles in the street or the pavement, whatever it is. So I was thinking, this is really expensive, and it's a film that on its face, I just thought it's really difficult to do. And then he was basically like, ye of little faith. And he sent me a book about Mother Cabrini. And when I read it, I was just blown away at this underdog story. But anyways, back to what a producer does. He basically shepherds a project from beginning to end. So he's a person that would hire the screenwriter, attach a director, oversee the development of the project, and then raise the funds for the budget, and then actually manage the budget and the schedule of the film. So Alejandro and I have been working together on all these films, and it's a beautiful collaboration between producer and director. The director's in charge for the vision and the artistic direction of the film. I'm in charge as a producer of giving him everything he needs to get that vision onto the screen from beginning to end. So that's what a producer does. And the way I got into this was, as I mentioned, I was at USC. I did undergrad in law school, and I was working at a law firm, and I was blessed enough to get into 20th Century Fox. I was director of their business affairs, which means you're doing contracts. And every step of the way, there's a contract in the film, from hiring the screenwriter all the way to distribution, right? A contract with Angel Studios to get the film into theaters, right? And so a lot of guys that work in this particular branch of the law in Hollywood, they become producers because they learn the industry from beginning to end. And that's kind of what was happening to me. So when I had the chance to start actually producing something, I had a bit of a crisis because I was trying to take my faith seriously. And then I realized that I wasn't working on projects that necessarily were ones that were about light and truth. And so I found myself on a random / providential Wednesday in the middle of church in the middle of the day. And that's when I met Eduardo Verástegui. And him and I hit it off. He was going through a similar process, and we said, why don't we join forces? And then a week later, I'm sitting in front of Alejandro, who had just come out of film school, and he had this idea for this film, Bella. And that's how we got started. Did I answer your question?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And in fact, you bring another thought to mind, because after we had done our agreement both on Sound of Freedom and on Cabrini, I learned the meaning of the name of your company, because you have a production company that's behind all of this. And please share what the name is of your production company and what that name means.
Well, it's metanoia films, and it's a Greek word that St. Paul uses in the scripture for conversion. It's also a word that is used in scientific circles when something grows from dark to light, like when a plant grows from out of the darkness towards the light source, or when the earth turns towards the sun. And that was our mission. Was we were at a point where there's a crossroads, right? When you're trying to take your faith seriously and you're trying to do something that's good and true and beautiful, um, you can decide to either curse the darkness or try to light a candle. And our thought was, let's try to be that light in the darkness, which coincidentally or providentially, if we don't believe in coincidences, is exactly the mission of Angel Studios, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I
Right?
even have a tear coming to my eye right now just remembering this. Um, I feel like your team and ours were meant to be together. So, and I'm sure, and I've heard from lots of people who are so excited for what you guys are doing next. Wish we could talk about it. We're not going to talk about what we're doing next yet. Let's get Cabrini to the world.
Yes. Let's save that for another
But
live stream. But before then, Neil, when I read your guys' mission, I remember being on a Zoom call with Jordan, and he brought up kind of a presentation about the company. And when he talked about amplifying light, it was like to me, because that was exactly what we wanted to do. And our prayer all this time has been for God to present us to people that have a similar mission. And we felt like the one component that had been missing, more than anything, was having a studio behind us that believed in us and that was able to reach the audience that we wanted to reach and had all the skill sets that we don't have, but more importantly, had that same mission. So when we connected with Angel Studios, it was like, wow, this is an answer to prayer. So God
for
bless
us
you guys.
too, for us too, and God bless you. We're going to turn now, and the time's come to give away one of our T-shirts.
Yay.
So once again, if you'd like a chance to win a T-shirt, purchase your tickets during this live stream. So let's give away the Cabrini T-shirt. Can you put up the winner on the screen? Okay, so apparently we haven't selected the winner yet. This is
Let's go.
yeah. So I jumped the gun. But here are the two shirts. God's Children Are Not for Sale and Cabrini, the shirt that I'm wearing, and the back of it has a message about the world is too small for what I intend to accomplish, which for what I intend to do, which Alejandro said, that's either the most pretentious line in a movie ever, or as Cabrini delivers it, it is actually a line of that what's happening here in our world is beyond this world. Like
That's right.
it's bigger than us. It's bigger than this life, and it's bigger than our mortal existence. So go ahead and take advantage of buying early and saving big. Just go to angel.com/Cabrini to get your tickets right now.
Oh yeah, that line is something else. When I read that early on in one of her biographies, that was something she actually said. You're right. The thought process was, this is either something that is so beyond human reason, which it was, or it's something that is exactly in line with the truth. And I remember reading the definition of humility being living in accordance with the truth. And in her world, and from her view, the reality was the world was too small for what she intended to do. She had plans for, and the way we see it now is not only for her time, but even beyond her time to now. So we think that this film, at least we pray and hope, is an extension of that very mission of hers, right? The world is too small at her time. She was foreseeing maybe 100 years from now, someone's going to make this film to reach the ends of the world, even beyond what she was able to do in this life. So yeah, it's a beautiful line, and there's so many like that in the film, and there's so much about her story that I think is so worthwhile for people.
I couldn't agree more. Brenda, thank you for buying even one ticket. We appreciate everybody buying tickets tonight. That means a lot. If you're willing to go to the theater on your own and experience this message, every single ticket counts. So director Alejandro Monteverde mentioned before that he likes to make movies that begin when you leave the theater, meaning you carries the message into your life. I thought of that quote when you were just describing your your interpretation of the quote, "The world is too small for what I intend to do." Do you think? I mean, how ready or what do you think about today's culture and the need for movies that begin as the credits roll?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think what Alejandro's always mentioned about that thought process is we want to make films that inspire people in their lives, that meet them where they are and inspire them to greatness, to truth, and to beauty. And like I said, when I first heard about Mother Cabrini, I thought, boy, I don't know if there's a story here. And then when I actually read what she did, there couldn't be a greater underdog story. I mean, this woman, we're not going to give away any spoilers here, but she was told she was going to die when she was 12 years old. She suffered from smallpox, barely survived that, and then she had tuberculosis, and it led to the compromising of her lungs. Then she almost drowned in a river, right? She had already breathed her last breath, and someone miraculously pulled her out of the water at the last second. She was told she was going to die. And turns out that was the least of the obstacles that she was dealing with the entirety of the rest of her life. It was just obstacle after obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. She lived in a time when there was an incredible anti-Italian sentiment. She was in a institution that felt that that she was kind of trying to bite off more than she could chew. Her institutions were burned down. It was just thing after thing that seemed to block her, and that personally touched me. There's a quote in the film where she says, "We can serve our weakness or we can serve our purpose," and she really is a testament to the fact that if God is inspiring something, you go full and you don't stop. And that's what she did. And that's a story, I believe, that's timeless and inspiring. And so in a certain sense, the film starts when it's over. In other words, the message, the inspiration, the truth, the beauty touches our hearts during the film. And then, as you said, afterwards, it hopefully inspires you to kind of live that truth and strive for that which is greater than what we think is possible.
Thank you for sharing that. And one of the reasons that we developed and brought to the world the Pay It Forward system was because we want shows like this to be able to reach people who wouldn't otherwise attend. When I was a boy, I think I can count on two fingers the number of movies that I watched before I was 16 in the Dollar Theater, and it was very impactful for me, and so we're really excited about the message of Cabrini reaching so many people. One of the things I was thinking about is there something that happened to you when you were on set that either about what you learned about Cabrini or just an experience you had on set that you took into the rest of your life?
Well, so many. All right, one of them is kind of artistically. Again, our executive producer, Yusuf Wolfington, when we started this film, it was right as COVID was hitting, and he had a choice to say, okay, let's just pause everything and just go back to our normal lives and pick up when this blows away, or to do what he actually did was he said, you know what, let's just keep planning, let's just keep working, and let's not let this obstacle stop us. It wouldn't have stopped Cabrini. And so now we're actually very spoiled because artistically we had so much time, thanks to Yusuf's generosity, to plan. And that was instrumental. So the way this film is shot is unlike any we have done previously, and it's one of a kind in so many ways. It's a throwback to classic cinema, but in a modern way. And that is that all the shots were choreographed, which is very rare in film. Normally, you'll have what's called a wide shot, which captures the entire scene, and then you'll go close up on different people as they're speaking or as they're doing some sort of action.
And you choose the one that's best.
That's it. You choose which I want to use this wide, and then I'll cut to this close up. And now, I don't like that one. I'll use. Alejandro didn't do that. He had just one camera lock there, and the people would walk into their own close up and then walk away. And so you can either use the whole thing or you can use none of it, right? And that is. He said it was very bold. There's a statement in the film where bold or we die, and this was bold, and it made it very, very difficult to edit it other than one particular way, which is beautiful because he was saying we're putting it all out there, And he said it's almost like climbing a massive mountain, like rock climbing it without any ropes. Because if one of these shots fail, then the whole movie fails. Like the strings need to connect together, and so that was inspiring to me. The fact that the way we approach this film and the way that Alejandro and team really focused on planning everything beforehand is something that I want to do for every film. Now, when it comes to my life, so many things. I had no idea who Cabrini was before, and now I consider her one of our great patrons. She was the first canonized American saint, and no one knows her name, which is mind-boggling, right? She was so popular at the time because she touched millions of people, and it's that notion of we can serve our weakness or we can serve our purpose. Right now, for most believers, it's Lent, which is when you give up something, you make some sort of sacrifice, some sort of mortification, right? And even in this Lent, I was thinking, it's not just about the giving up, it's about the giving up for something, for a greater purpose. And that's something I got from Cabrini, because that was always her thing, was like, let's not count the sacrifice. Let's ask if it's worth it. Yes. So hopefully that's something we can all imitate in our lives. At least that's something I took from Cabrini.
It's something that I need to take from Cabrini as well. Sometimes when you're in the thick of it and you're in the fight, you forget that the journey is like the joy can be found in the journey. And Cabrini was so dogged on continuing forward that she just didn't get caught up on the oppositions that were in front of her. She just continued.
That's right. That's right.
And it's really inspiring. We have a question that we want to bring up now on the screen for you, Leo. Right. If there's one thing we should take away from the film about Mother Cabrini, what is that?
Oh boy, there's so many things, right? Her life.
This is from Will. He's a guild member, by the way. Those are the
hey, Will.
Guild members.
Thank you for the question.
Yep.
There's so many things in her life. It's impossible to narrow it down to just one thing. But if I had to, I would say it's what you just mentioned. It's that if God puts something in your heart, we have to do everything we can to try to bring it to completion. Everything we can, and not count the obstacles, and just try our best to leave it on the field. That was her in a nutshell. We had to do, 15 years of her life in a 2-hour period. So we had to take bits and pieces from all these different episodes in her life. But the one kind of constant stream is that incredible, dogged faith and determination that she had. So maybe that would be the thing.
Thank you for that, Leo. Let's bring up a way that all of you who feel to do so can support this show. So it's angel.com/ambassadors/Cabrini. This is the Ambassadors program. You can scan the QR code on the screen as well. But these are a bunch of resources. You can share your thoughts with the video review, share free tickets with your network. There's special perks on merch and tickets. And you can follow the film on social media. And you can write a review for the film. All of these things will help the empire of hope that Cabrini started to reach more people. So we hope you will join the Ambassador program. It's a one-stop shop to help amplify light within your own network. All of us have people that we've impacted in our lives who we care about and who care about us. And that's the way these kind of messages truly spread, is when we share something we care about and love with those people. All right. How we doing are there any? We do have a winner? Okay, great. So we have a winner for the T-shirt giveaway. Would you bring up the winner on the screen? Brenda Williams. Congratulations, Brenda.
Congratulations, Brenda. Thank you for the support.
Yes, thanks for being here tonight. And there were many who purchased tickets. We appreciate all of you. And Brenda, thank you. And hope you enjoy that shirt. We'll reach out to you to get your information on where you want the shirt shipped.
To that end, Neil, can I interject with something?
Yeah, sure.
It's a very personal thing. I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
Good. Alejandro and I have a bet. The director, when he was here on the live stream, he sold a whole bunch of tickets during his live stream. And the director, he always gets all the glory. Now, we're not doing this for the glory at all. But the producer, he's always behind the scenes. And so I told him, I'm gonna beg the audience to beat his ticket count. So, if at the very least to humble our director, if you can please buy tickets now, so that we can sell more tickets during this live stream than during his live stream with Jordan. Okay.
Alejandro's talented enough; he could use a good humbling. So let's do
There you
that.
go.
That is the goal tonight. If you didn't win, you can still purchase these shirts at shop.angel.com. But please, thank you to the fan in Texas who just purchased 3 tickets. We really need to maintain a spirit of humility around here, and by purchasing tickets and allowing Leo to win tonight, then you can serve that purpose, which is a good one.
There you go.
It's a very good purpose. All right. Are there any final questions from the audience tonight? Maisie says, oh, and Maisie's also a guild member. So Angel Guild members are the heart of Angel Studios. Nothing comes to Angel Studios without their approval. They are also those who invested to help our company thrive and to help many of the shows get off the ground. And so we can't say enough about our guild members. So Maisie, thanks for the question. Will there be opportunities to watch Cabrini in Spanish, Leo?
Well, there better be, seeing as my mom only speaks Spanish. Throughout all these years, her and my father immigrated from Colombia, South America, right? So any film that we do, I've always made the implicit, if not the explicit promise that we'll have it dubbed, at least for my mom, in Spanish. But for what I understand, you guys are already working on the dubs for Latin America, right?
That's right. We're already working on the dubs for Latin America, and it's Angels. We have consistently, now that we've started theatrical distribution, all 4 theatrical releases last year, and for the foreseeable future, we are launching in Spanish and English every film that we do. And in fact, there are more people than most movies that attend Angel movies who are from the Hispanic community. And we're just so grateful for that community. You are people who love family, who honor family, who honor faith, and you are, what I love the similarities between the story of Mother Cabrini and the immigrants that were coming from Italy, and today the immigrants that are coming from Latin America in the U.S. and 30% of the tickets in the U.S. were from the Latino community in America. So thank you. And then we did extremely well in Latin America. So this is a commitment of ours. And I personally have lived in Mexico for a number of years and love the Spanish language and love the people. So that is a commitment of Angel Studios. And what's more, we don't have to do anything with our name. Everybody understands our name in Spanish. Angel.
That's true.
Right?
Needs no translation.
Yep, no translation. So anything else you'd like to share for closing? Oh, we got another question. Moises, bienvenidos, Moises, says, is there a point in the film that you can share that really impacts you personally, Leo?
Yeah, there's actually 2 things as I'm reading this question that come to mind. The first is there's this beautiful moment where this is based on true events. When Mother Cabrini got to New York City, and she went to 5 Points, which is an area that was jam-packed with millions of Italian immigrants that were just crammed into these tenements that are called these horrific structures, kind of stacked one on top of each other. When she first got there, the priest that was there wasn't there to meet her, so they wound up staying at a place that used to work as a brothel. So there's a scene in the film where she engages with one of the women who's working there, and touches her life. That scene, when we were filming that on set, was so incredibly beautiful and impactful and inspiring, and it speaks so much about Mother Cabrini. There's a line there where she's talking to this woman, and she says, "You and I are much the same," and the way she spins how these two lives are similar is just beautiful. So you have to watch that scene. That's one that impacted me so much. The
And that
second
scene,
is
by the
also
way, I felt like was a moment when I said to myself, Cabrini was doing what Jesus would have done in her same shoes. That's
yes.
the thought that came to my mind. If you're thinking of the scene that I'm thinking of, anyway,
Well,
go
I
go
am,
ahead.
and I think you're right, and I think part of the inspiration there for the direction was Mary Magdalene. So that's I think you're exactly right, Neil. Another one is again very personal to me. Um, so I mentioned how Mother Cabrini in real life almost drowned in a river. Well, we use that imagery and that reality in the film, and we actually use it in a very esoteric kind of philosophical way. So when she's feeling like she's drowning, she kind of goes back to the moment where she fell into this river. Well, I was in Buffalo, New York, where we filmed, and we were in the middle of pre-production, and the second unit director and cinematographer were testing this underwater camera equipment.
While
In
you're
order to make
talking,
these,
while you're talking, I'm just
yeah,
going to interject and just remind everybody that we are going to be dogged tonight to beat out the director's ticket record. And
that's right. Let's go.
Leo mentioned this before. We want to keep seeing those tickets coming. We want them to be appearing on the screen as we go. If you buy early, you save big. So get the discount that's available for the next few hours only, while Leo's sharing with you the rest of his thoughts on
That's
another
great.
thing that packed him personally.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah. So I was in Buffalo, and the second unit director was in Los Angeles, and they were wanting to test this underwater camera equipment. And so I have a pool in Los Angeles, as everyone does in Los Angeles, and they said, "Can we use your pool to test this equipment?" I see the tickets are coming in. Nicely done,
Yes.
people. And so so they went to my house and they were testing the equipment, and my daughter happened to be here, and they asked her if she could swim and could she go and just kind of jump in the water to test the stuff. And they sent us the footage, and it was very haunting. It was very beautiful. And when we got to Buffalo, my family was there. I don't go to any set without them, right? We homeschool, so the kids come with us and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But we were there, and they had seen something like 40 synchronized swimmers, stunt girls, and actresses for this role of playing
Yeah.
young Cabrini. And they had kind of fallen in love with the temp footage of my daughter. So what they did was they dressed her up in a Cabrini outfit. They put her next to the actress who was playing Cabrini. They took a picture. The two are uncanny. And so they came to me and they said, "Here's who we want to play this role of young Cabrini." And it's my daughter. And so I said, "Well, you know what? She's not a professional actress." And they said, "That's actually perfect because she's going to come across as very organic." And I think she did an incredible job. But there's a moment in the film where she's underwater, and it's this moment of she's just drowning and losing her last breath. And then this hand comes in and pulls her out. Well, that hand is actually my father. So he plays that role of
Oh,
pulling out.
cool.
So I
Very
can't help
cool.
but love
Very
that scene.
cool.
So
Thank you, Chaplain Michael, for your tickets. Another fan from, oh, I missed it. Yeah, I think there was a Brenda or an Emily. Anyway, thank you very much for the tickets. That is so cool. I wondered, I was going to ask because I was watching that scene and the way that the bubbles and things were captured. I was like, how did they do that? Like, was that an underwater camera? Was it
yeah.
CGI? Was it, I just couldn't.
No, that was practical. We went to an Olympic-sized pool, lined it all with stuff that would make it look like it was under a river, and then we had a camera in this massive casing with a big crane that went underwater. And so I remember at one point the direction to my daughter was, "Okay, well, you did just fine, but now go a foot and a half deeper, push off, swim a little bit, pull the veil over your face, scream, swim some more, and go just camera right." She's like, "Okay," and she did. She did that. It's unbelievable.
And the thing is she does look like young Cabrini.
It's
And
uncanny.
it's uncanny. Not only does she look like Christiana, but
Yeah.
anybody who goes to the film will see in the credits that there's a photograph of Mother Cabrini. And it's uncanny how much Christiana looks like the actual Mother Cabrini, and then your daughter
really
looks
cool.
like it blows my mind. And
It's really
I
cool.
think you told me this before, but I had forgotten. Delightful to hear it again. Thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
look at that shot. Look at that shot. That's
That's
on the
beautiful. By the
Hudson.
way, that there's no CGI. That really happened. That was real fog that morning. Happened to land right perfectly under the lens of the cameras, the frame of the camera. It's beautiful.
Thanks to a fan who purchased tickets in Missouri. I also want to remind guild members, and some guild members to this day, we're trying to do our best to communicate this, but any guild members, you can just go in and in the Angel app and check out with tickets, and you have 2 complimentary tickets to every single Angel theatrical release. So it's really slick, really easy, and again, you can change those show times, the theater location at any time up to an hour before showtime. So please.
Yes, redeem them now, please.
Yep. Redeem them now. It's important to, like, if you're a guild member and you haven't redeemed them yet, please just go redeem them now, because that fills seats and it tells the theaters, oh, we need to, I love Dune. It's a great movie. I went and saw the first Dune, but this Dune's coming out the week before we are, and with Cabrini. And it's going to be important. Like the big studios, they have lots of money and they have lots of influence and power over the exhibitors. The exhibitors are our friends. They want to help us. As long as we are showing up and getting those seats early, they are so happy to support Angel movies, because it turns out that a lot of those people we discovered when we went to CinemaCon, they're very aligned. Like as Jordan and Jeffrey were walking through CinemaCon last year, and Brandon, people would come out and they'd pull out their cross and say, "We're on your side," from the exhibitors. Like, they just love what we're doing. So all we have to do is give them. We need to do at least as well as the studios are doing, and then they're going to give us everything that we need to get this show out to the world. So get your tickets. If you're a guild member, that you can get complimentary tickets. If you're not a guild member, you can join the guild and get them, or you can get an early bird discount, buy early and save. So yes, keep that coming. And then finally, Leo, if you can reemphasize how important this is tonight for you and your relationship with Alejandro. This is a very serious matter.
Yeah, so I mean, this is for us. It's one thing to have Sound of Freedom. People think that was just kind of lightning in a bottle. It struck once. It's never going to happen again. Quite frankly, what we believe is that we need films that are amplifying light, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of studios that are dedicated to this. And so every single film that we can do is probably going to display something that is dark.
Leo, you didn't get my cue. I was referring to beating Alejandro tonight.
Well, that too. In fact, more importantly, let's go, people. Let's get some tickets purchased so we can beat Alejandro.
The very serious matter for Leo and Alejandro's relationship.
And by the way, it's not just during the live stream. It was I have this written down, right? There's actual terms to the bet, and it's just for pure humility and nothing else. But it's from now till midnight tonight, Pacific Coast time. That's when we're gauging how many tickets are being sold. All right, so keep buying that.
So do it for Leo, but also do it for me, because Jordan is much better looking than me. He has more hair. He's got a great looking beard, and he, I think, always sells more tickets than I do. So Leo and I are
yes, that's right.
Are begging
and
you
the same.
to humble our fellow colleagues.
That's right.
And allow us to have a sense of pride tonight. No,
do it for the least of us. Do it for we are the underdogs compared to Alejandro and Jordan. So please, let's go, people.
Great. Do we have any more questions tonight? Okay, we're done answering the questions. Were we going to give away another T-shirt tonight? I think we had one other T-shirt to give away.
Let's do it. Even if you didn't, let's do it.
Yes, they're going to give away a T-shirt right now. They're working on it, and while they do, we're going to give you a chance, Leo, to close with any final thoughts, and then we'll close with the Cabrini trailer. And everybody online, even if you weren't with us live, but you're watching this live stream, that you're going to change the future for both Leo and for Neil by outperforming Alejandro and Jordan on tonight's live stream. Let's get those tickets.
Your rewards will be in heaven. Our rewards will be here on earth. So we can I want to end by thanking one person in particular, other than all the people at Angel and all the incredible work. I do want to thank Eustace Wolfington. He was the visionary behind this film. Him and I share the same birthday, but we're, I don't know, a few decades apart. And when he called me to try to make this film, I would never say no to Eustace. And the reason is because this man is in touch. He's in touch with the higher power in such a beautiful way. To have this inspiration to make this film when no one would have is just wonderful. And his support and his principles and everything about this man is so beautiful. So everything we do when it comes to Cabrini, we always keep him in mind and dedicate it to him.
And in fact, Eustace, thank you. Well said. Eustace insisted that Mother Cabrini's name be listed as an executive producer on the film because of the impact that she had on his life. And I feel like I've been able to touch into Mother Cabrini because of the impact Eustace has already had on my life. He has become a mentor to us. He's 90-something years old, and he's helping Angel improve what we're doing here, and he's helping our business. This man just touches everybody who's around him, and he got that inspiration and that vision from learning about Mother Cabrini's life. And so thank you for sharing that, Leo. Who did we choose? Who did we choose tonight to win our last gift?
There we go.
Karen Schellenberg, or Berger, so, excuse me, Karen Schellenberger. I probably slaughtered your name, but we congratulate you. We will get your preferred address where to ship this shirt. And Leo and I, all joking aside, we need your help. We need to get these messages out, and it's going to take everyone speaking to change our culture, speaking up, speaking out truth. And one of the ways to do that is the cinema. And they, by many people's judgment, have made one of the greatest films of all time. It is not necessarily an easy film for people to get to the seats early. But once you're there, it will all be worth it, and you'll all understand what these guys have put their hearts and souls into and their entire lives. And so get out there, get people to the show early, get the tickets early, and enjoy this closing trailer of Cabrini, and good night.
Thank you, Neil. Well said.
Shall we begin? My sisters, if we are to build an empire of hope, we must first conquer New York.
Open your eyes. This is who we've come to serve.
This is not a place for you.
To take us to our orphanage.
And then a hero comes along.
Now we need to feel it with children.
To carry on.
This was the door to my heart.
Cast your fears aside.
You can do all things.
No, you can't survive.
All things in Him who strengthens us.
Do people know that in America, the greatest nation on earth, rats have it better than the children of the immigrant?
Be careful, mother, or this place will eat you alive.
So doctors tell me 5 years.
2.
In that case, I should be doing
You have swatted the hornet's nest. This is about the kind of New York we want.
You'll find the
Bisogna avere tanto coraggio per scoprire cosa siamo pronti ad essere.
We are all children of God!
Get out!
And you dismiss us at your own peril!
and a hero comes
I speak for the immigrant
with the strength
who wager everything on America. I speak for those little girls abandoned to the streets, for their fathers who die alone in ghettos. A word of hope, a touch, a medicine of a loving hand. These are the things that change the world.
finally see the truth.
Your Holiness. The world is too small for what I intend to do.
That a hero lies in.